Taiwanese President Tsai Ing-wen went to visit America recently, and the Chinese Communist Party are just a little bit pissed off.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Chinese government English language propaganda news channel China Global Television Network's headlines would make you believe that Tsai's arrival in New York was met with absolute opposition. This headline from CGTN on the 2nd of April reads, "Protests in New York on Tsai Ing-wen's US stopover." The article goes on to say that more than 100 overseas Chinese held signs with slogans about One China and peaceful reunification. Another article has the headline, "Demonstrators in New York protest Tsai Ing-wen's US stopover." Demonstrators gathered in New York City on March 31st to protest Tsai Ing-wen's US stopover as she was leaving her hotel. Here are some of the protesters shouting their lame slogans and holding their lame-ass banners. Some of the banners didn't even make any sense. Honestly, it really doesn't look like there's a lot of people there for the protest. I mean, can't the CCP do any better than this? I mean, think about it, guys. Your mortal enemy goes on a trip to defy you and rub their freedom in your face, and all you have to fight on your side is this little ragtag group of misfits? It really does crack me up. Check out this guy, Mr. Hua Junxiong, who is the honorary president of the China Council for the Promotion of Peaceful National Reunification. Wow, it just rolls off the tongue, eh? Oh, and look at who his little group of ragtags are funded by. None other than the United Front Work Department of the Chinese Communist Party. Now, just in case you didn't know what the United Front is, it's a political strategy of the Chinese Communist Party involving networks of groups and key individuals that are influenced or controlled by the CCP and used to advance its interests. This organization is responsible for pushing the Chinese Communist Party's soft power propaganda and trying to fool you into believing that the CCP is some harmless and benign force for good, when in reality, they're one of the most evil and oppressive governments on this planet. And I've talked about this to death on this channel, and if you look at the CCP and you have half a brain in there, then you'll know that they're definitely not a force for good in this world. But anyway, let's listen to what this guy has to say, because I'm sure what this guy's gonna say is gonna be very fair and balanced, right?
We want the United States of America. Don't give the wrong signal to Tsai Ing-wen and embolden her to declare Taiwan independence, because Taiwan is part of Chinese territory.
Oh, so Taiwan is part of Chinese territory, huh? If that's the case, then why is he president of a group aiming for peaceful national reunification? If he truly believes that Taiwan is a part of China, then why does he need to reunify? You don't need to reunify something that is already together and unified, right? This man is obviously not this thick and clearly knows that Taiwan isn't a part of China. Just listening to him spout all of his authoritarian dictatorship's propaganda, it makes you wonder, why the hell is he even living in a democratic country like America? He's living in a democratic country and supporting a country that is the exact opposite of democracy. It seems a little bit odd to me. He should feel lucky that he gets to organize a protest at all and not get arrested, because you can bet that if this guy was still in China and trying to protest, he would get locked up for organizing such a huge event. But instead, he enjoys all of the benefits of living in a democratic country where he can exercise his freedom of speech to support a government that would cut his tongue off for speaking freely. It's ridiculous. I mean, I guess he's from China though, and he does have the right to speak up for his country. And let's just remember that China is his country, not Taiwan. Next up amongst the protesters that have been interviewed is a so-called American protester called Sam Bismuth, I think that's how you pronounce his name. And by the looks of things, he seems to be just a little bit misinformed. Let's listen to his words of wisdom. I'm sure it's going to be great.
And there is truly no separate real country of Taiwan. It is an artificial division which the West, which our leaders are trying to create, and I reject this as an American. And I think that the only way for us to move forward at this point is to make deals with China. Peaceful cooperation with China, nothing else.
Hey, how you doing?
Yeah, because that didn't sound scripted, did it? He says exactly the same talking points as all the other CCP sycophants and shills that you find plastered all over social media. Social media that's blocked in China, by the way. Anyway, that's besides the point. I wonder if this guy has ever been to Taiwan or China. It seems to me that something fishy is going on with this guy. His scripted response really makes me think that it could all be just one big act. Was this guy actually paid to read that script or what? We'll look into this a little bit later on in the video, but just for a little second here, I want to get back to CGTN. The good old Chinese propaganda machine are really getting desperate here. CGTN are also reporting about Taiwanese people in Taiwan opposing Tsai's US visit. Wow, look, there's so many of them. Once again, it's just a small number of people, a small group, exercising their freedom to protest. And what really amuses me about this one, guys, is that by showing this footage of Taiwanese people protesting in Taiwan, CGTN have accidentally highlighted that Taiwan is a democratic country and people in Taiwan have the right to vote and can oppose their government and the decisions that their government makes. That's a massive epic fail there from China. What's interesting is that they focused on this small group of people protesting and they wouldn't show the millions of Taiwanese supporters for Tsai's trip to the US. Anyway, I could go on and on about the Chinese coverage of Tsai's visit to the US and how biased and pathetic their coverage is, but I want to end my video with a revelation. Something that Chinese state media wouldn't dare talk about. In fact, it's pretty goddamn embarrassing for China. Check this out. Did you know that the Chinese people who attended the protests on the China side were paid to be there? That's right, you heard it. They were paid to stand there and protest. They were paid $200 a day to be there, according to Taiwan's intelligence chief. This is seriously nefarious and shows that the Chinese government knows that people won't just blindly support them, so they need to offer financial incentives for people to do so. For example, guys, just think about these CCP foreign shills who for the majority of the time when they make their videos are just after a payday. They don't really care about the Chinese government, but know if they kiss its ass, then they'll reap the benefits. And it doesn't matter if you throw all of your morals out of the window and support a tyrannical regime, because you can get a payday from that tyrannical regime. The Chinese government seriously know that their shit stinks and have to pay people to push their lame-ass propaganda, which brings me back to this Sam Bismuth guy, if that is his real name. He was the one American protester at Tsai's US visit interviewed who was so adamant that Taiwan is not a country. I truly believe that this man was also on the CCP's payroll to stand there and spout his scripted spiel. First of all, I've never even heard of this guy. He just appeared from nowhere. Why doesn't the CCP get some big-name celebrities to champion its bullshit propaganda?
我有一个错误，我必须说，现在就是很重要。我爱更尊重中国，更中国人。我很抱歉对我的错误，对不起，我很抱歉。This is Sparta!
Instead, we get Sam. No one's ever heard of him, Bisworth. The next reason why I believe this man is a paid actor is because China has done this kind of thing before. That's right, several years ago in Canada, when Meng Wanzhou, the Princess of Huawei, was attending court for her extradition hearing, she was met by a bunch of Canadian students who were seemingly there to support her. It was later discovered that these students were paid $100 Canadian each and told that it was for an acting gig. They were given signs that read, "Free Miss Meng, bring Michael home, Trump, stop bullying us." And then when interviewed, most of the students had no idea why they were there in the first place.
Is it difficult to say why you're here?
We're all here just individually. It's kind of for a school thing, but we all go to different schools.
Okay. And what do you think of this whole Mrs. Ming
I don't want to speak on it. I'm sorry.
Wait, what group are you with?
I'm leaving, sorry.
No, what's your name? You got a Free Miss Meng sign?
So because of this, it's not a stretch to think that this Sam Bismuth guy was also paid by the CCP or by somebody who represents the CCP. Even though I can't 100% prove that he was paid by the CCP, the odds do seem pretty much in favor that he was. I'm pretty sure that good old Sam doesn't give a shit about China or Taiwan and just showed up on the day to get his measly $200. I hope it was worth it, man. So there you have it. The people who showed up to protest Tsai Ing-wen's trip to the US were paid actors. This is the reality of the situation. The CCP pays people to push their propaganda. These people weren't willingly going there to champion tyranny, but instead had to have another motivation to attend, and that motivation was a financial one. I mean, who on earth would willingly support an evil autocratic government unless they were being paid, right? I mean, it's bad enough that they got such a low attendance. Hardly anyone showed up to this protest, right? But I guess this low attendance could be explained by the CCP not being able to afford to pay so many actors. The goddamn cheapskate CCP. On the other side of the road, across from the CCP puppets, there were people there who showed their support for Taiwan and showed their support for their president's visit. Some of the signs they held were amazing. The Taiwan supporters looked genuinely happy to see their president and probably didn't need to be paid to show up, right? And President Tsai gave a fantastic speech, which I'll play a little bit for you guys now.
Taiwan cannot be isolated, and we do not take friendship for granted. We are thankful to all those who stand with us, and we are confident that Taiwan will continue to stand tall, free, democratic, and with dignity.
Anyway, this staged event from the communist side really highlights how pathetically desperate, but also how cunning the CCP are. You see, they know that some people will do anything for a quick buck, like these paid actors, and such people can be exploited to push disinformation and the CCP's evil narrative. The most alarming thing for me is that if they pay enough people to do their bidding and protest live on television, it could be convincing for the average person viewing who is ill-informed about the situation between Taiwan and China. The thing is, not everybody is as informed as you and I, the people watching my video and other Taiwan-China related videos, and these people are potentially being fooled by the Chinese Communist Party's soft power propaganda. This is why we all need to do our part to let the CCP know that we aren't falling for their crap anymore. If you just go onto one of CGTN's videos and post a comment supporting Taiwan, you could make the world of difference. I really hope that each and every one of you will all do your part to put an end to this bullshit CCP propaganda once and for all. At the moment, we get enough crap from our own governments, and the last thing we need is some other country's government, especially an awful government like the Chinese Communist Party, trying to fuck it up even more.
Long live our great, glorious, and correct party.
They want to make Taiwan as part of China, but Taiwan is Taiwan, China is China. That's two different countries.
没有关系，大家都自由平等，都可以来，我们不怕。